But we can come over to this Vago garden enclosure. I did post a story this morning showing the process of my husband and I putting this together. And, you know, everything that we did, kind of start to finish real quick process, even just telling a story. But we started it in March and then finished it up. I finished it up a couple weeks ago and basically stapled all this netting to it. And we're going to put some finishing boards on there to cover that up. And then it'll be done. But it's doing really well. Very happy with it. Let me, I'll bring you in. The video I posted this morning was from a couple weeks ago. So my plants are actually coming up a lot more now. So let's see. So there's my lettuce. When I showed it in my story and video I posted this morning, it was just starting to come up. And then I have some chives and carrots there. Those are, I don't want to say they're old, but they that carrot was from last year, still growing. And then the chives, they've been there a couple years now. They're perennial, so they come back. And then I'm going to be having some carrots come in that little corner there. And then I'm going to have some tomatoes coming in. You can see them. And then there's the cucumbers. And they're getting their true leaves on them now. Usually they come up with those little 2 leaves and then they get their true leaves. And then I got broccoli coming in. And zucchini. And I planted some peas. They're not coming up yet. They're like right on the edge, and I'll have to stick a little cattle panel or chicken wire or something once they start coming in, so they can do some vertical growing. And then I have some corn over here. And then the corn, as it gets bigger, I can move it to like different corners and stuff. Hopefully it doesn't get too tall, because this is 7 feet, and it might get taller than that, but we'll see. We'll see how big it gets in those buckets. I know corn, I've planted corn in some boxes that I have. I'll show you in a second. But and I know their roots don't go very deep. They kind of sprawl out a little bit. So we'll see how they do in these little pots. But anyway, if I don't get any corn to eat, that's fine. Sometimes I just like to grow it so I can harvest the stalks and then use them on my my front porch once fall comes as a decoration. So, and then I have a blueberry plant down there. I'm growing some chamomile in those first 2 pots, and then I have some succulents that have just kind of broken off, and I just threw them in there, and I'm keeping them in here because I like it, because the birds can't get to them, the bugs can't get to them. So, but I do love this greenhouse. It's so nice to come in here, walk in, water, and then walk out. Before I had netting over my Vago garden here, and I'd have to lift up the netting. It was Velcroed at one point. Lift it up, and then stick my hose wand in there and reach in and scooch down, and like, what a pain in the butt. And then the winds would come and just blow the netting off, and the bugs would get in, the moths would get in, lay eggs, and the worms would eat everything. So, and then squash bugs would get in. And so I was just like, you know what? I said to my husband, this year, I want a nice enclosure. So thanks for his help with that. And we got it done just in time and beat the heat. So in a post, a reel this morning, and you can, I put time-lapsed it together. We had it on time-lapse, and you can see how we built this and stuff. So it was pretty easy to do. I found a picture on Pinterest, and it was a garden kind of like Vago garden, kind of like mine, U-shaped, and they didn't have space around the edges of it. They had the wood frame right up against it, and so I kind of got that idea, and I said, well, we'll try that. So I said, with a little bit of space, and I can walk around it and get in there and do what I need to do. So But anyway, yeah, it's first really hot day here in New Mexico. We've been in the 80s, and today we got in the low 90s, so the heat is coming. It's here, and my garden's ready. I got everything all set and planted, and so now it's just to kick back, stay inside, and putter on artwork, and making more products for my wildflowerartbycarrie.com e-commerce online store. Oh, and that big hole right there, we we had our septic pumped, so we had to dig out our septic cover. And I said to my husband, you know, both of us are in our 50s now. I said, I am tired of having to do this backbreaking work. I said, we need to do something different. And so we are going to maybe put a piece of plywood over that. And I bought a big decorative pot that I want to set on there and fill up with some flowers. And then that way we don't have to keep digging up the septic tank cover every 3 or so years, because you know, you find when you get older, you want to just not have to work as hard. What they say, work smarter, not harder type thing. So the pot that I'm going to put on it, and I'll probably put my chamomile in it because they're a full sun plant, but I have this nice big blue pot right there. So we bought that, and I'll probably plant that up, and with maybe marigolds and maybe some chamomile. And then we'll put it over that septic tank cover and have a little decorative spot there. But this is my backyard view. And hi to everybody who's joined. Again, my name is Carrie from wildflowerartbycarrie.com. And I am in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, growing zone 7B. And our backyard faces the beautiful Sandia mountain range. Isn't that pretty? This is in the evening, so the sun is now hitting the Sandias, and then looking out there, it's out down south towards Albuquerque. So we have a beautiful view of the mountain range, and then we have our second story, which you know, we can see above the screen Vego garden there, and just we can see all the way up to Santa Fe and all the way down past Albuquerque. So it's beautiful views up here, wide open. But this is my garden. My husband and I, we've been here. Thank you for the likes. My husband and I have been here. We moved in 2014, January. And this was all sand and tumbleweeds, sagebrush, goat heads. And we put the patio in probably the fall of 2014 to 2015. We built the shed and put this garden in over here in 2018. And then the south garden, I call this one here the north garden because this is the north side. And then over on the south side, behind the Vego screened enclosure area, the south garden, we put that in 2022. And we put the Vego in at the same time as well, the Vego veggie garden. So it's been a work in progress. You know, we are still working on it. I finally got my dream of my greenhouse. We built that last year. Got the kit from Charlie's Greenhouse up in Mount Vernon, Washington, and they shipped it down in some big crates, and my husband and I put it together. Had to paint all the wood and stuff, and that's a 10 by 12. The little shed there is an 8 by 12. So I have lots of, you go to my TikTok page, I have lots of videos and pictures of inside the greenhouse over the winter, and my wildflower casita, that's the name of it. And so, yeah, basically, the old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, neither was our garden. So just add to them as you go, you know. And so that's basically what we've done here. Over here, for those of you that don't know, this is a mosaic that I created. I created this probably around 2018, 2017, 2018. And it's of the Sandia Mountains with a cloud bank above the mountain and then the sunrise above that coming up because we face east. And so that was my inspiration for this piece. And so it's been hanging in there, but it's pretty. It's all glass and beads and slate. So, and these are nice posts with caps on them, but you can't even see them anymore because my honeysuckle has just kind of taken over. But I like art pieces, little pieces of artwork. You'll see little metal pieces of art in my garden. I love hearts. So you'll see my tin hearts that are around. In fact, I have one over here, a couple. So I have one here, is a little juniper I have. This was a free plant I got. I bought some Japanese maples, but you can see one of my tin hearts back there. And yeah, I bought some Japanese maples, and the company sent a little free gift if you spent so much money. So this little juniper is over a year old for me, and it's like doubled in size. So as I was saying before, I like different textures and varieties of plants in my gardens. So you can have different shapes, or whether it's like a Christmas tree, like that moon glow juniper there, the conical shapes, or the whimsical grasses blowing like the purple fountain grass, or the spiky texture of the gladiolus leaves here. They're going to be coming up and blooming soon. So I like all kinds of different things. And it's nice when you're gardening, as one type of flower goes out of bloom, another one comes in, so you got constant color coming and going right through till frost, which is nice. This spring you kind of start with your bulbs and irises and tulips and daffodils. They go by, then you have roses that come out, and then now the roses are starting to go by. Now my hollyhocks are opening up, and then the glads will open up, and my purple cone flowers are going to be coming in, and then my cosmos will be blooming, and zinnias, and it just goes on, and it's like by fall, you just have like this all season. You just have all this color. So, and then I like lots of pots because I just feel like they add a lot of quaintness to the garden. So even like this strawberry planter, it's meant for strawberries, but I put vincas in them, just to be different. But the boxes out there, I planted up with, those used to be where my corn was. And the thing with corn here, gosh, we have just such a issue with moths. These little brown moths, or the white looper moths, and they get in there and they just lay their eggs. Next thing you know, you have wormy corn. You open up an ear of corn, it's got worms in it. So I had to do netting for a while. I had these rails that kind of went up the side of the boxes to connect netting to it. And then I took that down. We had our fence replaced. I had to pull those corn boxes out. So I disassembled all that, put them back. And I said to my husband, I'm just going to put flowers in there. It's easier. And like I just showed you in our screened Fago garden, I have little pots of corn in there. We'll see how they do this year in those. At least I know moths and stuff are not going to get them because the screen's up. So that's exciting for me. Take all the bugs away, But anyway, I got to do some watering tonight before it gets dark. But I just kind of wanted to jump on and say hello and happy Saturday, and just give you a tour of what's blooming and how everything's looking. And stuff, and I plan on doing more of these as the season goes on, just to kind of show you all the changes that are happening and stuff. This is I call it my sunflower tower. I got it. It's full of morning glories. It's a beautiful party dress, like hot pink morning glories, and then sunflowers, and they look really pretty. I have a lot of nice pictures from last year. If you go to my TikTok page, you can see the sunrise and the sunflowers, or the bees on them, the honeybees or bumblebees. I've taken lots of pictures and stuff. So they'll be coming along in another month or so. We'll be seeing those. There's my little greenhouse down there, the wildflower casita, and just ignore my junk down there. We're in the process of we want to paint our shed this year, and we had a pile of wood behind there, so I had to move the pile of wood next to the greenhouse. And then once the shed's painted, I bought these nice racks, lumber racks, and then we're going to put the lumber up on those racks and get them up off the ground, and move my compost tumbler around the back so we don't have to look at that anymore, and kind of clean it up. It seems like when you're a gardener, you always have like that one little corner of your yard that's got all your stuff in it. But my main area to keep pretty is up here. So, but we love it here. It's a nice area. Hard to garden here sometimes with the winds and the intense sun. But my secret to my garden is soaker hose. I have soaker hose in my garden beds over there, with a thick layer of bark mulch on top of that. And I run my soaker hose about 20 minutes every morning for my north garden and my south garden, and then also the garden that I have, kind of pan slowly here, up against our house. So I have 3 zones, and then this garden over here with my roses in it. And I have chrysanthemums and roses in that garden, and gladiolas. So 3 zones, soaker hose. They each get about 20 minutes every morning. And again, the water stays in the ground because I have the bark mulch over it. So, and that's the secret for gardening out here, is just, to keep your moisture in your ground. Now, my planters, everything else I water by hand. If it's really hot, like we're getting now, I'll water twice a day, morning and night. And it's a quick, I have a hose that pulls out, which I love. And it's just a matter of going around and giving everybody a little drink real quick, and they're good to go. The rocks, the Coreopsis cosmos in the rocks, I will water those at night, because it doesn't make sense to water them during the day and then the sun kind of hits them and it just excuse me, that water evaporates quickly, versus being like in a container where you have the plastic kind of holding the water in. So when I water the rocks, the xeriscaping, I'll do that in the evenings. That way it stays moist all night. And there's weed paper under there. So everything that you see coming up through is seed that landed on top of the weed paper the prior year. But the weed paper also kind of holds the moisture in. So the little roots, it's amazing. They can like root themselves down through that weed paper. And, so their roots are in the soil, but then the weed paper gets wet and kind of holds the moisture. So that's kind of helpful too. But anyway, I just wanted to again jump on and say hello. Again, my name is Carrie from wildflowerartbycarrie.com. And this is my backyard, the Sandia Mountains here in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. And I am the owner of wildflowerartbycarrie.com. And my artwork that I have on my website is all handmade by me. With flowers from my gardens that I harvest, pick and dry, and press. And I use them in my own artwork. I also love taking photography of my gardens. So I have pictures of on canvas prints, coffee mugs, t-shirts, canvas bags, puzzles. So if you want to visit my website and maybe find a nice gift for yourself or someone special, it's wildflowerartbycarrie.com. If you visit my TikTok page, the link is in the bio. There's my link tree, and it takes you to all my other websites, my YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, my website itself. Anyway, I hope you all have a nice evening and wonderful rest of your weekend. And I will plan on coming back soon and doing another garden tour and talking to you all then. So have a lovely evening and take care, and bye for now.